All right, what's good, YouTube? Catastrophe. Tonight, I got a spoiler review for She-Hulk season. I know I'm late as fuck on it, but it's I've been too busy lately, so I finally decided to make some time for this. Okay, so where to begin? What can I say that hasn't already been said about this show? I know, like, out of all the MCU shows, MCU Disney Plus, She-Hulk has been getting the most hate by far. And after watching it, I can kind of see why. Because let me just start out by saying, yeah, I do think that there is some anti-male messaging going on with this show because you have okay, spoiler warning, by the way. So this was your only warning. So at the end of the season, Abomination, he has to go back to prison because he broke the rules of his house arrest by juicing up and going big and green. But Jen Walters, she does the exact same thing while on house arrest, but she gets to walk free. And also Titania, she did more criminal shit in this season than Abomination did. Abomination didn't even do anything illegal besides breaking his house arrest. I mean, he was just hosting inspirational uh, group meetings, but Titania, she was literally destroying courthouses and she assaulted She-Hulk at a wedding, but she's able to just walk away scot free. And I honestly can't can't think why they get away with it, despite all the property damage they cause, like her She-Hulk and Titania. The only reason I can think of why they get away with it is because they're women. I'm not gonna lie, it's just an Abomination. He goes back to prison because he's a man. I can't lie. That's how it comes off. Show doesn't explain why like She-Hulk and Titania get off, so that's the only conclusion I can draw from it. Sad to say. And another big problem with the show I noticed is just She-Hulk's character arc because I can't it's hard to really see what was the point of it all because I think the idea is her character arc is supposed to be Jen Walters accepting herself for who she is and that a she can be special without hulking out. But the problem with that is that most of the situations that she's put up in, which is like fighting demons with Wong or fighting Titania, fighting the Wrecking Crew, fighting Frogman. It's like the only reason she can do these things is because she's She-Hulk. But the show wants you to think that She-Hulk, the show wants you to think that Jen doesn't need She-Hulk to be a superhero, but that is the only way she could be a superhero. and and also I feel like she doesn't. I feel like her big character flaw really is. It's not even that her character flaw is her insecurities about just being a regular human, but her real flaw really is that the show doesn't really acknowledge is just her arrogance. It's like she's very dismissive of her cousin Bruce's past trauma, and she thinks her life is worse off than his because she gets hit on by dumb men. And I'm just like, okay, this man Hulk, he he was hunted by the government for years. He was brainwashed into destroying a African city, and then he spent 2 years on an alien planet. Then he gets his ass whooped by Thanos. And even in the first Avengers, he talks about how he got so fucking depressed that he tried to kill himself. So, you know, I just wish the show would acknowledge these things. Like, I wish Bruce had said, like, oh, well, I went through all this shit, Jen. So you just need to suck it up. Okay. And so just the arrogance of She-Hulk, where she always thinks she knows what's best. She always has to be the one in the right. She thinks her problems are bigger than anybody else's. She doesn't think it's important to be a hero. And by the end of the show, I just feel like she doesn't learn a lesson from that. She doesn't humble herself out in any way. Now, when I compare her arrogance to Iron Man's arrogance when he started out, at least in the first Iron Man movie, everybody talks about how arrogant and self-absorbed Tony Stark is, and the movie clearly wants you to think, yeah, this is his big flaw that he's someday gonna have to get over. And even in that movie, he does acknowledge that he's arrogant and that he needs to do better. But She-Hulk never has that moment. And to talk about my big problem with that, with the fourth wall breaking, it just wasn't that funny. Like, I mean, at least when it happens in the Deadpool movies, at least it's usually funny in those when he does it. But whenever she breaks the fourth wall in this show, it's not that funny. And it makes me worried about Deadpool 3 because like and also it just uh it's it also makes the events of the show just seem so much less important because it feels like it honestly it makes it feel like it almost makes the whole show feel non-canon to the MCU because it feels like this is just fanfic. This was just I mean, you might as well have just ended this show with She-Hulk just dreaming about the whole show. That's what it feels like. It feels like it didn't really happen in the MCU now. And also just the fourth wall breaking at the end, it was just too easy of a solution to wrap up all the conflicts with with the Intelligentic and Titania and Abomination. It just feels like I wanted to see like an actual climax to these conflicts, and you don't get that. And the only reason you don't get it is because the MCU just thought it would be funny, and it wasn't. Yeah, it just frustrates me because it's like the MCU has been going on for 14 years now, and it feels like it's still making the same mistakes. It's like with the fake Mandarin and Ralph Boner and the in the last episode of She-Hulk. It's like you keep throwing away potentially dramatic and cool substance in favor of unfunny jokes. It's like, I mean, I just don't get why you like troll. It's just I don't get why Kevin Feige just likes trolling the fan base. It's like Kevin Feige, you're the only one laughing at this shit. It's only funny to you. Please stop this. Please, for God's sake. It's not cute anymore. Please. It's never been cute. we hate it. So why do you keep doing it? It just feels like you're you're punishing us for some reason. You're punishing us for being fans and wanting to see these characters, properly represented. And yeah, and I know breaking the fourth wall is She-Hulk's thing. She was doing it before Deadpool was even created. But it's just because it's in the comics doesn't mean it's going to automatically translate into a good adaptation. And I'm honestly getting sick of hearing this argument. Well, it was happening in the comics, so therefore it's good. No, we need to stop using that excuse that just because it was in the comics, that automatically makes it a good idea to do it in a movie or show. Okay. Comics are a completely different medium from shows and movies. And so when you're working with different mediums, You need to go about it in different ways. Now, again, comic accuracy, it can be a great thing. It absolutely can. Like with Thanos snapping his fingers and wiping out half of all life. That happened exactly in an Infinity Gauntlet comic. And um Loki being the Avengers' first villain. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But like I said, it's got to make sense. You can't just you can't just simply do it just because it's in the comics and that's automatically going to make it fit. It just, you have to take what works in the comics and drop what doesn't work in the comics. Because there's a lot of terrible comics out there. Not all comics are gold. But I've been talking all about the negatives of this show, so I'm gonna talk a little positivity because despite all of what I said, I don't think the show is terrible. I actually liked the I actually liked a lot about it. For one thing, I did like I just like that the thing I liked about this show the most is that it feels like it takes advantage of the fact that this is a fully realized comic book universe and it's playing in that sandbox and it doesn't have to waste time explaining how this character got their superpowers and why these characters are choosing to dress up in these costumes and it doesn't need to have just one main villain and so there's only going to be one main conflict that the hero is going on through the whole season. And that was my biggest problem with the Netflix shows is that I feel like they didn't take advantage of the fact that you had 13 episodes in a season. So not every episode had to be just one continuous plot. You could have some standalone episodes and some standalone villains and characters and situations to deal with. Make it a little bit more episodic, make it feel more like a weekly comic. And I think that's what this show actually gets right the most. It just, one episode, She-Hulk will team up with Wong to fight demons, or next episode, she'll fight Titania or the Wrecking Crew, or next episode, she'll team up with Daredevil and fight Frogman. It's just I like the variety. What keeps things kind of fresh. And that's what I want more from the MCU shows is just to take advantage of the fact that you're not a movie, you're a TV show, so you should be telling your story in a different way. You have a lot of extra time that a movie doesn't have, so you don't always have to just have one ongoing conflict going on. You could have multiple ones going on, and you could have the time to build up all those different conflicts and side stories. And another thing I liked is okay, I is honestly Daredevil. His episode was easily the best one. And I gotta say, I was worried that Disney was gonna ruin Daredevil and make him cringe, but they did pretty good with him. I can't complain too much. He was he's a little bit more jokey than he was in the Daredevil Netflix show, but all of his jokes landed for me though. They were good. He was funny. And it was more of a his the Daredevil's humor in the show it wasn't silly and over the top like what you have going on with Thor right now. Where Thor has just been so silly lately that he feels like his character has regressed back from the character arc that he went through in Ragnarok and Infinity War and Endgame. But with Daredevil, it feels like okay, he basically feels just like he did where we last saw him in the Daredevil show. It just feels like he's happier. He's embracing the superhero life more than he was years ago. He finally feels like he's more comfortable being Daredevil. He can be. He's come to a point now where he's accepted that he's both Matt Murdock and Daredevil, and it doesn't feel like there's that inner turmoil anymore with him. And he's able to now impart his wisdom onto another superhero, She-Hulk. And I do love that. And I said that earlier that the show is the anti-male message, but not all the men are fools or or sexist or in this show. Like there was some Daredevil, he's very competent, and She-Hulk is very into him and thinks that he's a classy man. And even Daredevil, he gets the best of She-Hulk in the court case. He fucking smokes her in that case. And he's always in while She-Hulk is destroying parking garages, Daredevil is getting on our case about that. Like, you should try to be more careful when you're fighting crime and actually teaching her some shit. He's not just there to be She-Hulk's punching bag. And even when they have their fight, she couldn't lay a finger on him. It's not like he got pussyfied. He's still a badass. And the same thing with the one dude that works with She-Hulk at the law firm. I can't remember his name, honestly. He's not that interesting of a character. But he's just the way he comes off, you could tell he's good with the ladies, he's confident. He's got some testosterone. He's not made to look weak. So not every man in this show is portrayed badly. I mean, but to be fair, there are there are definitely some male characters in this show that they do look foolish and they're they got toxic masculinity. But overall, though, I think the wokeness of this show has been a little overblown. It's not as bad as what people are saying. Really, there is a little wokeness. I'm not gonna lie. There is a little wokeness, but it's not as bad as what the reactionaries would have you believe. Uh, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about the show. I mean, all I can say is like, okay, the Wrecking Crew, they were disappointing as fuck. They never even got their superpowers. I don't even, yeah, like if you weren't even gonna give them powers, like, or and there's not even like any like post credit scene with them about to get their powers and or setting that shit up. So it's like I don't even know why they were in the show. And same thing with Titania. I would actually kind of like to know why she has super strength and I wish she had more of a purpose in the show besides just being a nuisance to She-Hulk, honestly, because that's honestly what she is. She's just like she, she's got that recess bully of she's got that recess bully energy about her. Like that. Give me your lunch money, kid. That's what she feels like in the show. But oh yeah, and the action in the show, it's not that good really. I think the only action I think really the only action scenes I really enjoyed was anything with Daredevil. Anything outside of that was just it was just mid. It was either mid or trash. Just I wish they had put more effort into that. I mean, shit. I think even the fight scenes in Luke Cage season 2 were better than the show. Hell, maybe hell, I think even maybe Jessica Jones season 1 had better action overall, but and Wong, let me talk about this man Wong. Really, like he is just the worst fucking sorcerer supreme ever. It's like this man, he will he will break supervillains out of jail just so that he can get some fight practice in, and he will allow Doctor Strange to break the multiverse, and he will give Scarlet Witch the info that she needs to destroy the multiverse. It's just this man Wong, he is just so fucking bad at his job. And the next time I see him, somebody better call him out for all this shit. He really needs to get replaced. Ah, Lord, he's Wong. He fell off hard from where he was at in phase 3. Like phase 4 just did Wong wrong. And the phase 4 of the MCU in general is just I'm not gonna lie, I ain't been vibing with it. It's 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 been rubbing me the wrong way a lot. Just you ruined Taskmaster. You didn't uh you know build on the Doctor Strange and Immortal conflict. You killed off T'Challa off screen. Just yeah, I'm not a fan of the MCU Phase 4. I think that this is easily the worst phase of the MCU. Phase 1 was better. Phase 2 was much better. Phase 3 was fucking godly compared to Phase 4. And that phase had Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel, two of the worst MCU movies. but but I will admit this though. To be fair though, this phase it had to deal with the pandemic and Chadwick Boseman dying. So those things it dramatically affected the quality of this phase. You know, movies and shows got pushed back and they had to they had to shoot these movies under pandemic conditions, and you could tell it sometimes just looks off and cheaper, and that's just a result of the pandemic, and COVID forcing all these new restrictions, and Chadwick Boseman dying unexpectedly. It just threw a monkey wrench in Black Panther 2. And yeah, it's a damn shame that all these events that nobody could control happened. But I have to unfortunately judge the product that we got, and just MCU Phase 4, just it ain't it. But Phase 5 though, it looks a lot more promising to me. I'm much more hyped for that phase because it's got Quantumania introducing Kang the Conqueror and MODOK, two villains I've been waiting to see in the MCU for over a decade now. And then you got Guardians 3. James Gunn, he's really been winning me over, like, because I love the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, so I'm hyped to see how he's gonna end the Guardians trilogy. And Secret Invasion, that has the potential to be the best MCU show. Daredevil Born Again, fucking 18 episode season. Like that's wild. That's more than a Netflix season. Like, I pray to the one above all, please do not fuck up Daredevil Born Again. Please do not fuck up Kang Dynasty. And Captain America 4, finally bringing back the leader after 16 fucking years. Just there's a lot to be excited about in the future. Hopefully, Kevin Feige, he's learned from all the mistakes of Phase 4. With how divided the MCU fan base has gotten. Hopefully, Phase 5 can bring us all back together again, because there's a little too much negativity going on in the world right now, and I think some good Marvel shit would help make our lives seem a little less bleak. And that's all I really have to say about She-Hulk. It was overall, it was an okay show. It was okay. Not terrible. It had a lot of bad shit in it. It also had a lot of good shit in it. But I'm not gonna lie though. If Daredevil was in this show, I probably would think it was terrible though. I probably would say it's awful, but Daredevil, he raised the stock of the show up considerably. So I have to say, just because of Daredevil alone and him bringing his amazingness with him, that brought up the show to to an okay level.